First thing we're going to do is go to Setup and go into your location, which would be your client, farm, and field. If you look over here, you'll see that there's names. You pick the one you want, and if the one you want isn't there, you go up to Edit and you can add whatever you want. We already have ours in here, so we're going to use Test. Same with farm and field. You can add fields if the one you're looking for isn't in there. When you're done with that, you go out of there, and then if you come here, you can add your weather conditions, or if you have a weather station installed on your sprayer, they will populate themselves. But these conditions aren't necessary on normal operation. You can leave them blank. And then if you look over here, you can see that there's your single product or your tank mix, and then the product you're spraying, or your prescription that you're spraying. And then if you go down here, when you have everything set up, you want to click New Work if you're starting something new, or click OK if you're continuing something you started. We're going to start with New Work. And then next you want to go over here to your section control button, enable your section control, and then turn your auto steer on, which we do not have a globe on this machine, otherwise it would say that it's on. And then either set a guidance line or pick from one of your guidance lines that you've already set. And this whole main screen here can be configured to however you want it with the new Gen 4 screen. So you can move if you want this on one side or that on the other side, or if you want something else that's not on here, you can add or get rid of things you don't want. Next, we're going to go to Menu and go to under Machine Settings and go to Booms and Nozzles. And this will be where you set up the tips that are on your sprayer. To go in and set up the manual setup, which is what we use for the ExactApply, you can go in here, and this will enable you to configure which tips are in which location. And even though it looks like it turns, these do not actually turn the tips or the bodies of the nozzles. You'll have to manually turn all of them to what is on the screen. And if you see here, when it says combined, we are in combined mode if you have 6, 5, or number 4 forward. If we have 1, 2, or 3 forward, then we can either run A only, B only, or A plus B. And to enable the actual ExactApply, where it's pulsing and has turn compensation, we go over here to pulsing mode and we go to auto. So then if we go out of here, it'll tell us that we've turned our turrets and then we have to go physically turn them. And if you go back to here, we can go and we can set our target pressures, and we can set that on our screen so we can toggle back and forth between them. Say if we're next to a tree row and we want to drop our pressure down so we don't get as much fine mist, we can change that from a low pressure to a high pressure, or the other way around. And then if we go back to manual setup and turn our auto to off and go back out, we can go to auto mode, where we can actually go in and set up our pressures, and this will be just pressure spraying more so instead of rate spraying. And this does not let you use your turn compensation. So for most operations with a ExactApply sprayer, you want to go in and leave it on auto, otherwise you don't get turn compensation or your pulsing. So if we go out of here and go back, you can see that we have our height for our return to height on our booms, our working width, and then all our nozzles. And here you can go in and you can close every other one, odd ones, even ones, or you can close whatever ones you'd like to. In case you want a wide drop, so you can shut off every other row. And if you go down to Edit Settings, this is for our BoomTrac, so you can set it between ground or canopy, and turn your center frame so it's either stationary or if it moves with everything else. And then this is where you set up your heights and your response rates for your lower and raiser. So if we go out of here and click on the eye up on top for our advanced settings, this is where you can turn your BoomTrac Pro on or off, and your terrain type, which even though it says flat and hilly, we recommend leaving it on flat because hilly can make your booms move too erratically. And this is where you can either enable your wings to match your center height or for all three to move individually. And this you will not use, that's more so for your John Deere dealer to edit where your radar sensors are. And this is where you actually go in and put in the actual tip you want on that individual nozzle. And you can pick from presets or you can add. And if you go down, so this is where you will go to enable your boost, which you will use for behind your tires for when you have excessive dust or you just like to put down a percentage more behind them. You can pick between single or paired, which enables the one you pick and the one next to it. There's 4 configurations that you can set up, so you can just go in and pick between which ones you want to have boost depending on where your wheels are set. So if you have your wheels farther out for corn or beans, you can change between them so you don't have to go in and re-pick your nozzles that you'd like to use. They're already preset, you just have to pick between them. And then this is where you enable your turn compensation when we have our auto pulsing on. And then this is where we will go to turn our lights on or off. So if you're spraying at night, you can have it so that your lights are pulsing or on, or you can turn them off completely or adjust the brightness. So if we go out of there and then we go down to our Headland management system, this is where you will go to set up your headland management, which is a button on the handle that controls when you get to the end of the field. It will turn off, raise your booms, and slow down or speed up for you, all in one button if you configure it. And if we go to our spray system, this is where we can set up our target pressures, our target rates, which you can go in and pick from or add a prescription. And this is your minimum pressure that your sprayer will try to maintain at all times, and then your spray off pressure, which your booms will hold when you are not spraying. And then this is where you will have your pressure relief. This is where you go to set up your flow rate, which is the valve on the side of the sprayer that controls the amount of flow it lets through. And this tells you how many gallons per minute you think you have, but if you aren't sure, the new Gen 4s have this tool in them. You can go in and put in your speed and what your rate is that you want to spray, and it will tell you which way to have the valve. So if you're ever unsure, you can always come in here and check just to make sure that your valve's in the right position. And if you click on the eye up on top to get to the advanced, this is where you can go in and enable which speed you want to use in your screen, and then how you want your boom to charge, whether you want it manually or auto, and then if you want your foam markers on or off, and then the response rate of your sprayer. And the last thing we will go through is the tank system, where you can go in and set your pre-fill targets. So if you always fill to a certain amount, you can preset them. That way you can come in and just hit the button and then add what you want and hit that, and it will pre-fill the tank to that. Or you can set your low tank alarm to whatever you would like, and then your agitation on or off, which will come on automatically if you enable it, and then the level of agitation you would like. Or if you have target fill, you can enable it so that the sprayer kicks out once it reaches a certain amount of gallons that come into it. If you have any questions, please contact us at your local leading edge at Carrington, Michigan, Devils Lake, or Hamden.